create a thing which he cannot destroy, they are going against the second statement that God can destroy everything. If they say no, God cannot create a thing which he cannot destroy, that means they are going against the first statement that God can create everything. Again, they are not using the logic. They are trapped. Same way, God cannot create a tall, short man. Yes, he can make a tall man short, but no longer he remains tall. He can make a tall man short, no longer remains tall. He can make a short man tall, no longer that man remains short. But you can't have a tall, short man. You can have a medium man who's neither tall, neither short. But God can't make a man who's tall and short at the same time. Similarly, God Almighty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, cannot make a fat, thin man. There are 1,000 things I can list which God Almighty can't do. God cannot tell a lie. The moment he tells a lie, he ceases to be God. God cannot be unjust. The moment he's unjust, he ceases to be God. God cannot be cruel. God cannot forget. You can list 1,000 things. God Almighty cannot throw me out of his domain. The full world, the full universe belongs to him. He can kill me. He can obliterate me. He can make me vanish. But he cannot throw me out of his domain. To him belongs everything. Where will he throw me? He can kill me. He can obliterate me. He can make me vanish. But he can't throw me out of his domain. Nowhere does the Quran say God can do everything. In fact, Quran says, Inna Allaha ala kulli shay'in qadir. That verily Allah has power over all things. Quran does not say God can do everything. Quran says God has power over all things. Several places. Surah Baqarah chapter number 2 verse number 106. Surah Baqarah chapter number 2 verse number 108. Surah Al-Imran chapter number 3 verse number 29. In Surah Nahl chapter number 16 verse number 77. In Surah Fatir chapter number 35 verse number 1. Several places the Quran says, Inna Allaha ala kulli shay'in qadir. Verily Allah has power over all things. And there's a world of a difference between Allah can do everything and Allah has power over everything. In fact, Quran says in Surah Buruj, chapter number 85, verse number 15 and 16, it says that Allah is the doer of all he intends. Whatever he intends, he can do. But God only does godly things. He does not do ungodly things. Regarding our main question, why can't God take human form? Posed by a non-Muslim. This philosophy of God taking forms is called as anthropomorphism. That God Almighty takes forms. And they have a beautiful logic. That for God Almighty to say, to know, to instruct the people how it feels when a person is hurt, he had to take a form of a human being. To tell to the mankind how it feels when you're hurt, how it feels when you're happy, how it feels when you're sad, to lay down the do's and don'ts for the human being, God Almighty took the form of human being, known as the theory of anthropomorphism. But if you analyze, this logic does not stand the test. Suppose I'm the inventor of a tape recorder. I create television. I don't have to become a tape recorder to know what is good and bad for the tape recorder. I don't have to become a television to know what is good or bad for the television. I just write a catalog that to play a cassette, insert the cassette, press the button play, the cassette will start playing. Press stop, it will stop. Press fast forward, it will fast forward. I put down a catalog. Same way, God need not become a human being to know what is good or bad for the human being. He chooses a man amongst men to give the instruction, to give the catalog. Which is the catalog? The Quran. The catalog for the human being, the do's and don'ts, what is good for them, what is bad for them, is the Quran. He does not have to become a human being. Why? You ask me, can't God take human form? Yes, he can take. But the moment he takes the human form, he ceases to be God. Because God is immortal. Human beings are mortal. You can't have an immortal and mortal person at the same time. It's like a tall, short man. Human beings